And we're back. Sorry about that, guys. Unfortunately, lost connection to Spreaker there for a second. I mean, we kept going and then realized that we no longer had a connection, but we got it back. Everything's good in the hood. I don't know why, it's always somewhere around 9 o'clock. For some reason, Spreaker goes haywire on me. I don't know what it is. I've even got my computer problems fixed, and it still does that. So, uh, hopefully, figure something out. So, anyways, we were talking about what areas that we foresee having the hottest action. And Tan, have you pulled up the map?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead and let's just redo that entire question.
Okay, read it off to me then.
I said, what areas do you think are? Wait, did I ask which ones are most important? Was that the one that we?
You wanted to know which ones were basically gonna be the hottest.
Okay, yeah. Which ones are going to be the hottest zones? Like which ones are going to have like the most firefights in action?
Pretty much for me, I think gonna have to be like around the main entrances to the buildings. Those are going to be key points. Like looking at the map, you have um, I think it's called Tony. I know they said they named them after ex-girlfriends or something like that, but like there's an objective at Tony. That's going to be pretty key. But I also think that there's a couple of courtyards that they have probably less area to move around, but have at least two big entrances to move around. I know Nancy and Melissa. Um, Even Gabby kind of looks like it could be a pain, but mainly the buildings around the entrances and the courtyards.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement right now. The terrain objectives, Gabby. Well, not necessarily Gabby as much as Nancy. I think Nancy, that's definitely going to be a hot spot. That pipe yard right there is always just. I mean, even with AMS had action in it. Also, what's that one to the right of it? It starts with a T, doesn't it?
Tony.
Tony. Yeah, I was about to say my map's kind of digitized. Tony, that's going to be another hot spot because as you can see, it's got two destroyable objectives right next to it, and that is the big main building. You guys do not realize how big that freaking building is and how much like square footage. I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of square feet just in that one building. You guys are going to have a handful getting in and out of that, and I think yeah, a lot of action is going to be surrounded with that. As far as like Linda way over here off in left field, don't really foresee a lot in that. Melissa's typically when I ran with AMS where they did the dam missions, so I don't know. I mean, that may or may not be one, but I think Nancy and what was it, Trish or Trey?
Tony?
Tony. I think Nancy and Tony are going to be the two main hot spots of the day. I really do believe so. Um, Moving on. So, with that being said, what? Dang it! I set my questions to the side. Okay, what weapon type do you see having the most success or having an advantage?
Definitely. I know at Serious Viking we had the LMG kind of reign supreme and everything, but for this op, with the terrain we're being given, I really think it's going to come down to the rifleman. I don't think I mean LMGs are definitely going to play a role, but the quality of the riflemen I think are going to make the biggest differences. I know majority of the crowd is riflemen. Understand that, but I think it's going to be the riflemen who are just overall quality, the leaders, the ones who know the terrain the best and can know how to successfully defend and assault objectives are going to be the big the main factor in it versus LMGs and the DMR users and snipers.
Right, and I totally 100% agree. Um, I agree with some of it, but also I disagree with a little bit of it. Um, I think, and I know me and you were, we got into this when we realized we had gotten cut off, but I think the the AEGs, okay, which have to shoot below 400 FPS. Those guns that are set up more to be a DMR, those long
Rifleman.
range setup guns, not necessarily a DMR. No, I'm not talking about a DMR class. I'm talking about a rifleman that has set their gun up to be like a DMR. I think those people are going to have a little bit more success because not only do they not have that MED, but they're going to have some range so they can kind of sit back a little bit. If they got scopes on them, they can zoom them in and out and get a little bit more range on people, and then they can transfer that inside the buildings. And these buildings have really long hallways, so they can do the same thing there too as well and not have to worry about an MED limit or having to use a sidearm or anything. So I think those people are definitely going to get a little bit of an advantage over everyone else. Moving on. What strategy do you think wins? Aggressiveness or being passive?
I have to say it's going to have to be a passive at first. Both teams are going to be playing the touchy-feely, reconning each other, trying to figure out what the other team's doing. And if you throw majority of your guys at a objective and they fail, well, now you got to wait for those guys to walk back to spawn and get back to a point on the map, and that's time. That's valuable time gone, and you're not going to get that back. And that's going to be kind of the key thing. Going all out, I don't think is going to be the best for anybody. But once you figure out what everyone's doing, you're definitely going to have to play very aggressive. Definitely if you get behind on points.
Well, the big thing is, that people have to realize is that this entire op is divided into 4 phases. All right. And aggressiveness can help, but you got to think, if you start the game in phase 1, really aggressive, and you go balls out in phase 1, okay, well, and then you get an hour break, you're only going to be able to recover so much in that hour and a half break. And then you start phase 2, and just that phase 1 starts at 11 and ends at 1:45, okay? So you got phase 2, starts at 3 o'clock, about an hour 15 minutes later. So you may get 30, 40 minutes of downtime, because you have to walk back, take off your gear. That's going to take about 10 or 15 minutes. And as soon as you get your gear off, you're only going to get 40 minutes to relax, and then you got to throw all your gear back on and get back out there to start at 3 o'clock. If you go balls out, you're not going to be able to do that in the second phase near as much because you're going to be more wore out after the first phase. Not only that, but it's going to have warmed up by the second phase. And if you think, it's going to be 60-something degrees, it's not going to be bad. If you think with all that gear on that you're going to be feeling nice and pretty after phase 2 running around doing the same crap, you're not. And you're going to wear yourself out. And then, 3 and 4, the people that kind of sat back a little bit, you don't want to give too much. No. You don't want to give too much. You want to just give enough to let themselves wear themselves out. It's kind of like being in a fist fight and letting the guy just sling his arms. I mean, yeah, he may lay a few good blows, but eventually he's going to tire himself out, and that's when he come in for the knockout punch, which is round 3 which is phase 3 and 4 on this event. So I'd have to agree with Tan. I'd say that was a really long explanation, but a little bit of passiveness is going to go a long way in this game. Sit back, be patient. Don't sit there and jump on top of an objective and just start running. Group up and take an objective with a team and not try to be freaking Rambo and wear yourself out. All right. So, any follow-up comments?
Not good.
Okay. I know that was really long, and you're probably sitting there like, "Oh my gosh, Ron, shut up." The next question is, what issues do you think will come up with the current AO? Like, what do you think in the event is going to become an issue?
I mean, I don't foresee anything in the current moment. I think where Linda is, that far objective,
right.
I think that could become a problem. I think it could be where maybe not enough, it's not getting enough action, and they might push, and they might, feel like, hey, we need to get the guys, we might need to get people over here in this area. So they pull
guys
up.
Linda's skirt. That's what we.
they might try to pull something to try to pull guys to that side of the map. So, but I mean, I don't know. I think they've had plenty enough time to iron out any problems they've had in the past, and I don't foresee anything currently.
What about with players? What do you think problem would be amongst the players?
Uh, Most people come to this event is not going to spend the amount of money between the tickets, the hotel. You're not coming there to cheat. If you are, you have some serious screwed up priorities. But I don't foresee there might be that 1%. I mean, I think what 400 people was it 300 to 400 people for this event?
Yeah, it's around 400. There's like 200 per side or close to it.
There's probably going to be I bet you there'll probably be 4 to 5 people there that have might have a mindset of cheating. But overall, I don't think the players are going to be an issue.
Yeah, I mean, and what about the terrain?
Terrain looks great. I don't think I really think the only thing we were worried about was the weather, and currently the weather looks amazing. So I think we're good there. So I mean, it's literally shaping up to be a great event. I really don't think anything at the current moment is going to really screw it up.
Oh no, I mean, well, the only problem I foresee is those main buildings are lead plated, and radio communication is going to be horrible. Now, Tim did get me the extension on the Bowfang that's got the really long antennas, and I don't know if you have one of those for your Bowfangs as well, Tan, but I mean, I don't know if that's going to get it through those walls, especially in the heart of the building, but man, getting up the chain of command is going to be a pain in the butt, with communication through all those buildings and the walls and the stuff. And I mean, especially since most of them, if not all of them, are lead plated for, keeping out radiation and stuff. So, I mean, just the thick concrete walls, I think that's going to be the main issue is communication. And some people are probably just going to get pissed off and think somebody's ignoring them when realistically they probably cannot hear them. But, you talked about Lisa. Or not Lisa, what was Linda being off there in left field somewhere. It's kind of like that one, what is that map on Battlefield? That's like a desert, and you got that one objective that's way off to the side that nobody ever goes and fights for, and everybody, I think that's kind of going to be the thing here, but the problem is in Battlefield, most people that play any kind of war objective-based game will know that one objective you typically don't pay any attention to is going to end up being your Achilles heel. Because if you just say, screw, we're not going to worry about this because this is way over here, we'll let them have it. In the end, you may lose by that amount of points that they gained off that objective, So I think those are going to be the two main issues with it because weather's looking good. It's actually predicted for Friday to be a high 66, low of 47, Saturday high 71, low of 44, and Sunday a high of 65 and a low of 39. So it's going to chill down Sunday, but should be pretty good. Let's see. Yeah, I think as far as our pre-analysis, that's pretty much all the questions that I had for us on that. Is there any other comments you want to make about your analysis of the event?
No, I don't really got much of it. I'm just looking forward to it, and I think it's going to be a great time.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be. Well, I mean, I always say one of a kind. Every MilSim event is truly unique in itself. I mean, every MilSim event's going to have something you love about it, and then after you played enough, they're going to have something you hate about it. If this is your first one, you're going to absolutely love it. Everything about it's going to be the best thing in the world. Until you go play at other MilSims or other places, you're not going to really have much to compare it to. All right, so now the Airsoft checklist, Tan. If you had to write down some things that you absolutely have to make sure you have when you leave the house, what are some of them?
Well, I mean, you definitely got to have a weapon. Got to have the tool of your trade to use at the event. Your camouflage. Can't be on a team naked.
Lane tries.
Yeah, Lane does a great job.
Yeah, Lane does good, so he can do that.
He definitely your safety. I would say along with the camouflage, your gear, your safety equipment. Mm-hmm. Pretty much all that. I mean, as long as you got that and everything that goes with your weapon, you should be good.
Right, so your basic essentials. Now, is there anything unique to you that you have to have that you don't think other airsoft players have to have?
I mean, I don't have like a lucky medallion or something like that. I mean, um, I think if there's one thing, I would probably say only 20% of airsofters do when they come to these events. I could be wrong, and we might get some backlash from it. But I think the one thing that a lot of airsofters don't do is bring a backup weapon. I think that's something a lot of people don't do, and I do it to every event. So I mean, I think that could be one thing. That might be unique to me. I always bring a backup weapon. But I mean, besides everything else, it's not like I bring a special blanket or pillow with me that's helps me play better.
Viagra too. That's what keeps you going.
No. All I need is water.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, by the way, Third Coast Airsoft. I almost forgot. The one thing they told me to say on the show and to emphasize is to read the op ords. Read the op ords and read the rules. They're both on the same page. They do have more detailed rules, but if you read the op ords and you have a gist of their rules, then you'll be fine. But that would be one other thing I would tell you. If you're on the long trip down there or wherever you're coming from, make sure you go over the op boards, guys. I mean, come on. I guess that would be my main thing. Besides, your typical guns and gears. Make sure you got your boots, your pants, your shirt, your vest, your helmet if you have one. But
Socks.
Whatever gear you got, make sure you got source of hydration, whether it's a water bottle and that. Make sure you start drinking water. It's a little bit late to start that train, but you should have started Monday. But make sure you drink plenty of water. So yeah. Tan, I did have, and I hate to ask this out of you, but do you want to run through these lightning round questions? Because these are questions that I've had submitted, and these aren't even all of them. There's too many to get, but I wrote down the best of them. The ones
I'll play ball.
Do what?
I'll play ball. I'll go for it.
All right. You know how the lightning round works, guys. We got 30 seconds to answer these questions. There's 9 of them. One of them in particular, I'll probably give Tan an extension on. And myself, because it is definitely you. And since there's only 9 questions, I'll only allow 2 timeouts. Timeout gives you more time to talk about the question. If you can't get in 30 seconds, of course, I got my timer right here. I'm going to take it off my wrist so I can look at it better. And all right, so question number 1 was actually really freaking good and really interesting. So, you ready for this?
Yeah.
All right. And this comes out of Florida, Tampa, Florida. Tipman, or do you prefer HPA or if you had to choose between the two, would you pick Tipman CO2 M4 or any HPA M4? So basically, the Tipman CO2 guns versus HPA guns. Go.
Oh, well, HPA right off the bat, and if I had to be even more to the point, I would have to say the Wolverine, because now they have the CO2 stock, so you can run both HPA off a air tank, but also a CO2. So I mean, I would definitely say HPA, just because HPA is getting to the point where they're kind of combining the best of both worlds. So in that, definitely HPA.
I guess we're going to start the timer for myself. Yeah, I would actually have to disagree. I've gotten to shoot the Tipman a lot last year when I was traveling around to different events, or actually no, 2 years ago, back when they first came out with it, and I absolutely loved it. I mean, you just put the CO2 in the mag. You don't have to worry about a tank. You don't have to worry about hoses. You don't have to worry about filling up HPA, which, I mean, it's not that bad. You can find HPA just about anywhere nowadays. But, I just think the Tipman is more convenient. And, I mean, you don't have to worry about that problem that you typically have with that gun as you would with a pistol.
Well, I mean, but you guys got to think about my gray. It runs off of CO2. I don't have to have an air tank hooked up to it. I just put a CO2 cartridge in the stock and done. The gun fires. So, I mean,
So are
you
you
know,
agreeing with me?
I mean, I'm agreeing, but I'm also agreeing to disagree because I mean, they found a different way to do it, and
Right.
with that system, you can do both. So I mean, it's giving you more avenues to use your gun. Not only can you have an air tank with it, but you can also. That's why I love it so much. Everyone knows I was not a big HPA person until that CO2 stock came out, and
Hmm.
that to me, not having to worry about my big thing was picturing going up a ladder. You might take your gun off to give to your buddy while you all up to doesn't get hung. And that's my biggest thing. However, with their the Wolverine CO2 stock, you don't have to have a hose. I mean, you can have it as a backup, and that's the way I'll probably do in most of the event. I'll probably be really trying to use the CO2 stock just so I can have some videos, because a lot of the guys who do them, they do like the CO2 quick change videos and everything. So I'm gonna
You have a
try to do
CO2
that a good little
stock?
bit. Yes,
What? In what gun?
yeah, the Salient Gray.
The one that you just got?
Yeah,
Oh, I had no idea. Did it come with one?
yes,
The signed one.
yes. Welcome
Oh my god,
to
I didn't
two
even know.
months
That's
ago.
awesome. I was sitting here thinking the whole time, like, how does he know? I did not know. That's awesome, man. Tan's getting a little bit internet famous, by the way. So yeah, we spent a little bit extra time on that, but that was definitely worth going back and forth a little bit on. All right, so question two, and this comes out of Birmingham, Alabama. What's the best battery setup for an AEG, and why? I guess I'll start. I would have to say I've never messed around with Dean's, but everybody always recommends Dean's Connection. But I know for sure that you should use a 7.4 lipo. Don't use an 11.1 because it'll tear up gearbox and everything unless you got a really sturdy gearbox. 7.4 lipo, it'll last longer. Just don't let it die because once it's dead, it's dead forever. Lipo over nickel plate batteries every time. All right, Tan, 30 seconds. Go.
Well, I agree. Definitely, the Deans are going to give you a much better connection. So definitely, I agree there. Also, the lipos, definitely as long. I mean, I would like to think that most people try to care for their gear. Most people don't, trash their gear. So taking care of those batteries is very important. So definitely LiPo 7.4, but also, I mean, people can use 11.1s, but you got to make sure you have a MOSFET that doesn't burn out your triggers. I know I was talking to Lane about this recently, but definitely 7.4 LiPos connected to Deans are definitely, the way to go.
Oh, I just realized you were at 13 seconds over. I guess 30 seconds was a little too, a little less to talk about some of these questions, because some of these questions do actually, I mean, these are actually like legitimate questions of people that are actually seeking advice. So I guess, just don't go overboard with the time. I'm still going to keep up with the time. You only took 48 seconds. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know much about Dean's, but I agree. I know it's better connection. I just don't feel I'm messing with it and doing it myself. Um, but anyways, yeah, I'd have to 100% agree with him. All right, so question number three comes out of Huntsville, Alabama. If you could have any airsoft gun set up, what would it be? Go.
If it had to be any setup, it would have to be the shell ejecting Barrett 50, the M82 model. It's these literally 50 cal rounds that are pre-primed with CO2 or could be with air, and it's you shoot it, one BB comes out, you have to recharge it to get it. I think it's auto, semi-auto, so it recharges every time you shoot. So it would definitely have to be the shell ejecting 50 cal sniper rifle.
Is that a real gun?
Yes,
Like airsoft
there's
gun?
yeah
What? I didn't even
yes.
know.
God, you do not keep up with anything. Yeah, I mean, I think APS came out with it was an M40A5.
I gotta pull
That
this
was
up
a
right now.
that was it was now. I think the first people that came up with it was I think APS is the company. I might be wrong. They came out with one that's a bolt. I mean, when you think of airsoft, it's very probably ineffective because you're going to be shooting a lot more rounds, but it's sort of realistic. I mean, super cool. But each round is pre-primed with the air gas needed to shoot, and it each has a shell. If you've seen the new Elite Force Hater, which is just a revolver, it's each slot has a BB in it. Well, in the sniper rifle, it's the same thing. But yeah, I think SOCOM Gear Barrett. SOCOM Gear makes it. I had the SOCOM Gear Barrett AEG version for a very long time before I got rid of it. But yes, they do now make a shell ejecting one.
And here it is, folks. You can get it on Red Wolf Airsoft only. SOCOM Gear Barrett M107 gas blowback shell ejecting, and it can be yours for $1,650.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Woohoo! Eat your heart out, ladies and gentlemen, and it is out of stock. So guess what? Don't worry about going and buying it. Just calm down. The extra shells, let's see, you can get 5 for $100, and the magazines are $100 a piece. So, wowzers. Yeah, I'm gonna keep that in the dreams. What I was gonna say is basically an HPA Barrett. Just I didn't know they had a shell ejecting one, but I was just gonna say an HPA Barrett. That's the one I've always wanted, not the M99, the 107 as well. Because I've seen one before, and it had fantastic distance at a low FPS and great hop-up system in it, and that would be my dream gun. A semi-automatic only. I'd make sure it can also go full auto. It'd just be semi-automatic only, Barrett HPA. Or the shell ejection. I really like that. That's really awesome. Wow. Jesus, man, the things you know. All right. So the next question is, well, that was a good question. The next question's out of, is that Macon? Yeah, Macon, Georgia. What is the biggest problem in airsoft today? I don't know if he's referring to community or what, but anyways, Tan. Starting with you.
Biggest problem with airsoft in the community?
I don't know what he meant. It could be with anything.
Cheaters would probably be the only thing I could really, think of. I don't think there's a problem with. Maybe if there actually had to be, if I had to say not cheaters, I would have to say the amount of areas or buildings to play, maybe. I don't know. Okay. I would say just cheaters in general.
Yeah, it's kind of a combination of both of those if you really think about it. Cheaters, yeah, I think it's egotistical people, and then of course you got your tryhards, and then you got some of your people that, no disrespect, but they were in the military, but they didn't really do anything as far as, like, for instance, I ran into one guy that was an absolute douche on the field, but he kept on pulling the military card, yet he was, come to find out, somebody that actually knew him knew he was just a cook in the military and called him out for it and absolutely embarrassed the guy. But anyways, so those are some social issues. Over on the coast and around major cities, you have pretty decent amount of airsoft fields or places to play. You get in the more rural areas and in the southeast and, states like Mississippi and Alabama, and it starts thinning out. There's 1 or 2 places to play in the entire state that is an airsoft-only facility or at paintball course that does airsoft stuff regularly. So I think that's what some of the problems are nowadays. As far as guns and technology, phenomenal. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
No, good.
Alrighty. Question 5 comes from South Carolina. I didn't get the city, but it comes from South Carolina. How can we take airsoft or milsims to the next level? How can we take airsoft milsims to the next level? Like milsim events. Like, what can make a milsim more realistic, I guess is what he's asking.
I would probably say either pyrotechnics, having a lot of random explosions. That would be, well, just simulating whenever someone calls it a mortar strike, having something blow up on the ground is simulated would be pretty cool without injuring somebody.
Right.
That would be my input on it.
Well, some actually asked about blank firing rounds for the event, and although they said you can't obviously bring your own weapon to shoot blank firing rounds, they did not rule out the fact that there might be some there that the staff is going to be using during the event. But I think if you get just like you said, pyro, what would be so cool is if you can get one of those artillery cannons like they use with at football games that they fire blanks out of. You get some of those firing off in the background, and you have some fireball explosions around you and some machine gun fire off in the distance and stuff. That's really going to add to the environment. And, if you have a few guys running around out there with blank firing guns just for the heck of it that are staff, that's also going to add to it. But also, you got to be a little bit careful with that. And I want to hear your thoughts on this, Tam, because too much pyro. I mean, some of those guys are PTSD veterans. You think that would hurt them?
No, if they're if they are concerned about their PTSD, they wouldn't be out there.
Yeah, I mean that is true. That is true. But yeah, I guess more pyro and more vehicles is what's going to add more to Milsim. When they're already getting better at it. Question number 6 comes out of Georgia. Oh, Tan, here's your question for the night. I'm just gonna let you have at it on this one. You ready?
Yeah.
Define an airsoft tryhard. Define an airsoft tryhard, and this was specifically aimed for you, Tan. Little side note there. Comes out of Georgia.
Must be somebody I know out of Georgia. Tryhard. Well, I mean, I would say there's different levels of the tryhards. But I would probably say what really makes stands out to me is probably the guys who have no business. They probably have very, very fancy gear, very shiny gear. Gear you can tell that maybe you look at it and you're like, did they get their camo dry cleaned? I would probably say, kind of like that. Their camo's not worn. I mean, I'm not saying, people should show up to events, looking, ragged out camo, but, you can just look at somebody and be like, his gear looks way too nice. Unless they just bought it. That's one thing. I'm not saying just judge, a person just by that, that alone. But I think that would be, one way. Another way is just, what I was going to get to was, maybe they're out there trying to give people pointers, but they have no business giving pointers. They might be rocking, this, you might look at them and be like, man, they must be like, special forces operative, ex, Navy SEAL, and they work at Kinko's and they have no background in clearing buildings. It's one thing if you do work at Kinko's and you know how to room clear, that's one thing. But if you actually, don't have any business trying to show people how to be something that, you're not and they're not, then yeah, you're a tryhard. Or, in my book, I mean, there's people that probably take it, further than that. But I mean, most people, you'll see it. You'll be like, yeah, that guy definitely goes home and,
probably jacks off in his airsoft gear.
Probably.
I said I was going to keep the show as clean as possible. Well, there goes that. So is that all you had to say on that, Tan? I'm a little bit surprised.
I mean, I'm not going to add anything else to that. I'm good.
Okay. Well, I mean, as far as what I define a tryhard is, one when you see one. I mean, it's that guy that's got like a $10,000, like freaking, and most of the time these are people that have no military experience. It's somebody that sits there all day long and will tell you what their time on the range is and how much they shoot their guns and how much they have in their real guns back at home. And oh, oh, and also this EOTech site I have, it goes to my real AR-15 back home. Those kinds of people, and the people that have like went out and bought legitimate hundreds of dollars on plate carriers and put real plates in them, have a real Kevlar helmet on with a $10,000 freaking, there's a difference between trying to get good equipment to be the best or be pretty good and have an advantage, as opposed to somebody that's actually trying. I mean, it's almost like they could just, you could drop them off in Afghanistan with a real rifle and, they'd probably be good to go. That's how up to par their equipment and their supposed knowledge is, in my opinion.
I agree.
And we all know somebody like that. Wink, wink. Wes Jones, we know you're out there. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you, Wes. You're actually pretty good on the range. I won't lie, and you're pretty sexy too. All right, so that was when I read that question. I laughed. To be completely honest, I said, "Oh, this is a question for Tan." All right, so we have two like legitimate, like these are good questions and they're helpful questions. And I'm actually going to cut the soundbite from the show and send it to these people. But this comes from Debbie out of Tennessee. She said, "My son wants to play Airsoft. What does he need to get started? Where can I find Airsoft stuff? He is 13 years old."
I mean, where are they out of?
They're out of Tennessee. They didn't say specifically
Tennessee?
where in Tennessee, but they're out. Debbie from Tennessee.
I mean, if you're first starting out, I mean, I would probably point towards the bigger. You could definitely start out with Airsoft Atlanta, which is nearby. You definitely get stuff
Airsoft
quicker.
Nashville is also a thing too. They're about as big as Airsoft Atlanta. I know a lot of people don't know about them, but I've actually been up to their store. But anyways, I'm sorry.
But I mean, I don't know. I don't know if Airsoft GI or E-Vike still does it, but they used to sell. Literally, it was like a kit. It came with like an Elite Force M4 with like maybe 4 or 5 mags and
Oh yeah, Airsoft Atlanta does that.
Well, I mean, they might too. I don't look up for starter packs. I'm already started, but I mean, they have things like that. I would definitely just point towards there, but I mean, really, if you even know any, well-established Airsoft players, I would probably say it's always better to buy things independently than in a kit. I mean, you might save money sometimes in a kit, depending, but I mean, you always want to start with a, safety gear first and, a weapon, then you kind of move up from there. But, probably E-Vike or GI, probably.
Yeah, Airsoft Atlanta has a couple things. They got the Airsoft General AG Starter Kit, which comes with a Crytac, a mask, a dead rag, a vest, a leg holster, a pistol. Wow. Comes with a little bit of everything, and even like little guides and stuff when I get started. Then you get the Ultimate Speed Softer Kit, which has... It comes with an HPA gun, but that's $1,600. The other one I was talking about that comes with the Crytac, that's $628. And then they have another like lower level starter. Yeah, that's like $300. So I mean, you can look up kits, or I mean, the main thing your kid's gonna need is, I mean, blue jeans and t-shirts gonna work. Trust me, I mean, we have it all the time with Alabama Airsoft Association. People still do that. That's no problem. Hunting camo works too. But get them some basic camo, and for that I'd look into not necessarily Condor, but Rothko makes really cheap camo that works. I mean, it's really good. You can probably, since he's 13, get him 2 small. I mean, you can probably get him a whole bunch of camo for like, what, $50, Tan? What'd you think?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, you should be able to get him a BDU, Woodland Digital for like $50. And then a gun, obviously, which you can spend $100 to $150 and get him something that'll compete with anybody. You don't have to worry about sinking too much money into that. He doesn't necessarily need a pistol. He will need a dead rag, which you can just cut out a red rag, and good eye pro. And for his age, I would suggest a mask or eye pro, and then buy a mesh mask separate, because kids sometimes they don't think about keeping their mouth closed or whatever, and they get a 2-shot out, and you feel really bad as a parent. So, anyways, any of those places. You can also check out. Typically, Academy will have one or two. Those Black Ops guns you can get at Academy or Walmart.
No, just no. Don't,
No,
no,
I mean for
no,
$100, man.
no.
All right,
Spend
fine,
the extra
no.
money. Elite Force, M4,
There you
even
go.
the
Elite
combat
Four.
G&G combat machine.
Yeah, G&G. There you go. That is the G&G CM16 is the best bang for your buck. $150. You got it. And like I said, pistol, don't worry about it. Tac vest, you can get a cheap one for like 10 or $20. Those little NC Star cross-draw tac vests, I got for $25 from Airsoft Atlanta. That's what I started off with. I'd recommend it for any kid. Definitely a good starter vest. Not good when you get on up there, but definitely a good starter vest. Hold on a second, I got a message. What did you say? Did you tell me something?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, all right. And the last question is, where did it go? I don't know. All right, so this wasn't really a question, but a guy out in Texas asked, when will we grow a pair and come play Airsoft out in Texas with some real men?
I
I,
mean,
yeah, I love the guys
Texas. I
out in
mean,
Texas,
Texas
though.
is a bit away, but I mean, definitely if I would probably say with with my current situation with planning a wedding and everything, probably definitely not this year, but definitely probably in the future if there's a nice event out there in Texas, maybe on the eastern side of Texas, definitely would be worth checking out.
Oh no, we'd have to go to Temple, Texas, because these guys. Do you know how many Airsoft pages I post to every time? Just take a
Quite
guess.
a few. I mean, 13?
25.
No.
You got the Southeastern Airsoft community. There's like 4 Alabama ones, 2 Georgia ones, 3 Mississippi, 2 Tennessee, 3 Ohio, 3 Texas, 2 Florida, Virginia, Chesapeake. Well, that's Chesapeake, Ohio. No, that's Chesapeake, Virginia. So anyway, there's quite a bit. And the guys out of Temple, Texas like to give me a hard time on there with all their stuff. So anyways, and the last question. This is actually a pretty deep one. You ready for this?
Sure.
How old do you see yourself playing Airsoft? Like, when do you give it up?
When I'm physically unable to.
I know. I feel the exact same way. When I'm physically unable to. But, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, you plan on having kids someday, don't you, Tan?
Yeah,
Well, do you see yourself playing, if you have a little boy, do you see
of
yourself running
course.
around? Huh? You going to give him the best guns and gear? Are you going to tell him, suck it
Duh.
up, Buttercup? Here's you a CM16. Good luck.
I mean, yeah, they gotta learn. You gotta start somewhere.
Dude, you got to start him off low because you don't want to spoil him.
Well, yeah, duh.
I mean, I start off with little Walmart Springer guns, for God's sake. That's where you learn, boy. That's where you really learn tactics right there. When you got to run up on somebody 30 feet just to shoot them. All right, guys. So that's about all the time we have. Sorry that number one, it took a little bit longer than we expected, and also, which you guys sent in a lot of good questions for this show. I mean, realistically, it should have been divided up into 2 shows, but you guys did a great job with the questions, and y'all been very patient with us and very enthusiastic, and the community's growing. You know how many listeners now we have on Spreaker now, or how many listens we have on the 3
Mm,
episodes we got so far, or 4
I
or
haven't.
5?
I haven't checked.
3,000.
Wow.
That's not live listeners. We usually typically have around 40. But 3,000. I checked it the other day. We've used 3 hours of our audio storage, and we have 3,000 listens so far. That is absolutely amazing, guys. Y'all keep that coming in. And also, I like I said, enjoy your feedback. I'm sorry if I can't get to all your questions at once. Try to get to as many of them as I could tonight, as I could. I know my response rate on the page is getting worse and worse, but I'm doing all that I can right now. We all, everybody has a regular life. I understand, outside the realm of Airsoft, and so be patient with us. But we will be at Stonebreaker on Friday. We should be getting there around what time? 10, 2 or 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
So, if you guys want to see us, we'll be running around there. You know, I don't know exactly how to describe it. Just go look at us on our videos. And if you see us out there, say hey to us. If you don't, that's too bad. So we'll see you guys this weekend at Stonebreaker and at the Government Training Institute in Barnwell, South Carolina. Take it easy.